Look around you. That pile of clothes in the corner of the room, the dozens of objects on the table, the feeling of heaviness when you come home after a long day, the tiredness that persists even after a night's sleep. It's not just about the mess you see, it's about what it does to your mind. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to live in a space where every object has a purpose? Where the emptiness between things is as valuable as the things themselves? Where your home not only looks organized, but becomes a sanctuary for your soul? What I'm about to share with you isn't just about folding clothes or organizing drawers. It's about a profound transformation that starts in the physical space and reaches the most intimate layers of your being. An approach that has roots in ancient traditions, but has never been as necessary as it is today. Our relationship with objects goes far beyond what we can imagine. Each item we keep in our home carries not only physical space, but also mental space. When we enter a calm and organized environment, something within us responds immediately. The breathing slows down, the shoulders relax, the mind clears. When you simplify your environment, you're not just creating a beautiful space, you're creating conditions for a fuller, more conscious life. It's about removing layers of distraction to discover what really matters. Our modern world constantly bombards us with messages that we need more clothes, more gadgets, more everything. But the truth is that many of us are suffocating in the midst of abundance. Ironically, it is in reduction, not addition, that we find what we are really looking for: clarity, calm, and a genuine sense of sufficiency. The art of simplifying was not born of scarcity, but of the search for a more conscious way of living. It teaches us that true wealth is not in the quantity of things we own, but in the quality of attention we give to each aspect of our lives. There is a profound beauty in spaces that breathe. A room with few carefully chosen objects is not empty. It is full of possibilities. The space between things is not absence, but presence. It is the stage where life happens, where we can move, breathe, and simply be. The first transformation happens when you start questioning every object in your home. It's not just about asking, do I use this? But, does this object contribute to the person I want to be? Does it bring me clarity or confusion? Does it give me energy or take it away from me? When you enter a traditional home, what stands out most is not what is there, but what is not. There is an economy of objects that creates an immediate sense of calm. It's not about austerity, but about intentionality. Each item has a purpose and a place. Nothing is there by accident. The practice begins with small gestures. Maybe it's organizing a single drawer, removing everything that no longer serves you, or creating a small space for contemplation in your home, a corner with a plant, a cushion to sit on, nothing more. These small acts of simplification are like stones thrown into a lake. Their effects expand in ever-widening circles. One of the greatest revelations of this practice is that we organize our external space in the same way that we organize our internal world. An overloaded mind creates an overloaded environment, and vice versa. When we start cleaning one, the other naturally follows. Think of the moments when you felt most at peace. It probably wasn't when you were surrounded by dozens of objects and distractions. It was when there was space to breathe, to think, to simply exist without the constant pressure to do or have more. The act of simplifying begins with a fundamental question: what is really essential? Not just to survive, but to flourish. For many of us, the answer is surprising. We discover that we need much less than we imagined. There is a simple practice that transforms the way we see our belongings. Start by placing everything from one category, clothes, books, kitchen utensils, in one place. See the totality of what you own. Often, the simple sight of abundance is enough to realize the excess. Then, item by item, ask yourself, does this still serve the purpose for which it was acquired? Does it still bring joy or usefulness to my life? What we discover in this process is not only which objects we want to keep, but what kind of life we want to live. Each choice to keep or release an item is, at its core, an affirmation of values. In traditional homes, you will find a simple arrangement with natural elements: a branch with flowers in a simple vase, an interesting stone found during a walk, a fabric with a pleasant texture. They are not expensive or ostentatious objects, but elements that invite contemplation, that connect us with the simple beauty of the natural world. Contrary to what many think, simplifying is not about deprivation. It's about abundance, the abundance that arises when we remove what is superfluous and make room for what really matters. It's like wiping the dust off a window. Suddenly, the light comes in more clearly and we see the world with new eyes. There is genuine joy in owning less. Less to clean, less to organize, less to worry about. Each object in your home requires a portion of your attention and energy. When we consciously reduce our belongings, we free up that energy for more meaningful experiences. The practice of simplicity teaches us to see beauty in imperfect objects. A cup with a small crack, a table with signs of use, a fabric faded by the sun. These are not defects but signs of a lived history, of shared moments. There is a silent story in objects that have aged with us. In a world that celebrates the new and the perfect, there is something revolutionary in appreciating the worn and the imperfect. It's not a matter of aesthetics, but of values. It is recognizing that, like these objects, we are more interesting and valuable with our imperfections and life stories. Organizing a space goes beyond aesthetics. It is a practice of presence. When we clean a room with full attention, we are not just removing dust. We are practicing a form of active meditation. Each gesture, folding clothes, organizing a bookshelf, cleaning a surface, can become an act of mindfulness. There is a simple ritual that can transform the way you interact with your space. Before you start organizing, pause for a moment. Breathe deeply. Acknowledge the current state of the environment without judgment. Then, with clarity of intention, begin to transform it. This small moment of pause makes all the difference. Cleaning, when done with presence, becomes more than a task. It is a form of care. Care for the space we inhabit, for the objects that serve us, and by extension, for ourselves. There is something deeply nurturing in creating and maintaining an environment that supports our well-being. In traditional homes, there is a morning cleaning ritual, not just for practical reasons, but as a way to start the day with clarity. Sweeping the floor, tidying up the common areas, opening the windows for fresh air to circulate. These simple gestures are a form of daily renewal, of saying this day is a new beginning. Simplicity also extends to the way we manage our time. Just as a space overloaded with objects, a schedule full of commitments leaves us without room to breathe. Learning to say no to excess activities is as important as learning to release excess belongings. Many of us live in a constant state of agitation, moving from one task to another without pause for integration or reflection. This way of living fragments our attention and leaves us with the feeling that, despite always being busy, we are rarely truly present. A transformative practice is to create intentional intervals in your day, small moments of pause between activities, not to fill with more stimuli but to simply be. These empty spaces in our schedule are like the space between objects in an organized home. They are not absence, but possibility. Our relationship with technology is another aspect that calls for simplicity. Just as our physical spaces, our digital spaces can become overloaded, fragmenting our attention and leaving us in a constant state of partial alert. Try creating technology-free zones in your home, perhaps the bedroom or the dining table. These small islands of disconnection become sanctuaries where we can be completely present without the constant call of notifications and updates. Conscious consumption is a fundamental pillar of simplicity. Before bringing a new object home, we can ask ourselves, does this solve a real problem? Does it bring genuine beauty or functionality to my life? Or does it just create the temporary feeling of novelty? There is a simple practice that can transform your relationship with consumption. Before each non-essential purchase, wait 48 hours. This small interval is enough to distinguish between a passing desire and a real need. It is surprising how many urgent needs dissolve with just 2 days of waiting. Gratitude for what we already have is a powerful antidote to the constant desire for more. When we practice recognizing and appreciating what is already present in our lives, the urge to accumulate naturally diminishes. It's not a matter of willpower, but of perception. This simple ritual of gratitude can transform your relationship with your belongings. Each day, choose 3 objects in your home and consciously recognize how they serve or beautify your life. This small gesture subtly shifts your focus from what is missing to the abundance that already exists. Morning and evening routines are powerful moments to cultivate tranquility. Instead of starting the day immediately checking messages and emails, try creating a gentle transition ritual, a few moments of silence, a glass of warm water, a few conscious breaths before diving into the demands of the day. Similarly, ending the day with a simple closing ritual, perhaps briefly organizing the space where you spent the day, Preparing the environment for the next morning, doing a brief reflection on what was accomplished, creates a smooth transition between activity and rest. The way we organize our closets and drawers reflects and affects our mental state. Objects piled up randomly create a type of visual noise that, even if we don't consciously perceive it, consumes mental energy. When each item has a designated place, there is a sense of order that extends beyond the physical. A simple but powerful principle is to keep similar items together and easily visible. When we can see what we have, we tend to use what we already own instead of buying unnecessary duplicates. This visibility also helps us recognize consumption patterns and make more conscious choices. Organizing a space is not just about aesthetics, but about functionality. Place the objects you use frequently in easily accessible locations. Those used occasionally can go to less accessible areas. This simple organization based on frequency of use makes your routine more fluid and less stressful. There is a practice that profoundly transforms our spaces, the creation of breathing zones, small intentionally empty areas that allow our eyes and minds to rest. It can be a wall without frames, a table with just a simple vase, a shelf with space between the objects. These visual breaths are as important as the objects we choose to keep. The kitchen is a space where simplicity can have a particularly profound impact. Removing rarely used utensils, keeping only the essentials visible on the surfaces, organizing food in transparent containers, these small changes not only make the space more visually pleasing, but also make the act of cooking more fluid and enjoyable. A transformative practice in the kitchen is mise en place, preparing and organizing all the ingredients before starting to cook. This simple act not only makes the process more efficient, but also transforms it into a conscious ritual, a dance between ingredients and intention. The bathroom, although often neglected, is another space that benefits enormously from simplicity. Removing unused products, keeping only the essentials, creating an environment that invites calm, these small changes transform a purely functional space into a sanctuary for self-care. A bath can become a ritual of renewal when approached with presence. The temperature of the water, the gentle fragrance of a natural soap, the conscious act of cleansing the body, these simple elements, when experienced with full attention, become deeply restorative. The bedroom is perhaps the space where simplicity has the most direct impact on our well-being. A serene environment free of distractions, with few carefully chosen elements, invites the deep rest that many of us desperately need. A transformative practice is to remove technology from the bedroom. No television, computers, or smartphones. This simple act creates an intentional barrier between the world of constant information and the space dedicated to rest and renewal. The bed, when approached as an altar for rest, becomes more than a piece of furniture. It is a sanctuary. Clean sheets, comfortable pillows, a blanket that offers the perfect weight. These simple elements create conditions for the restorative sleep that is fundamental to our well-being. The seasons offer us a natural opportunity to renew our spaces. The seasonal change can be an invitation to reevaluate what we keep at home, adapt our environment to the new weather conditions, and bring in natural elements that reflect the current season. In spring, we can open windows for fresh air, bring some flowers inside, perhaps remove layers of clothing and heavier textures. In summer, create spaces for air circulation, incorporate lighter and fresher tones. In autumn, add cozy textures, perhaps 1 or 2 candles. In winter, create nests of comfort with soft blankets, soft lighting, welcoming aromas. There is a special quality in natural light that no artificial lighting can replicate. Arranging your space to maximize the entry of daylight not only saves energy, but also connects your internal environment with the natural rhythms of the day, benefiting your biological clock. Natural materials bring a quality of presence to our spaces that synthetic materials rarely match. Wood, stone, ceramics, natural fabrics like cotton and linen, these materials age with dignity, developing a patina of use that only enhances their beauty over time. Plants are powerful partners in creating serene environments. They not only purify the air, but bring literal life into our spaces. A single well-cared-for plant can completely transform the energy of a room. The choice of colors in a space has a profound impact on our mental state. Neutral and natural tones, the soft grays, earthy browns, muted greens, create a tranquil foundation that allows the mind to rest. These aren't lifeless colors, but colors that breathe, that subtly change with the daylight, that don't compete for our attention. Simplicity extends to how we organize our finances. Just like an overloaded physical space, disorganized finances create a form of constant stress that erodes our sense of peace. Consolidated bills, reviewed subscriptions, spending aligned with values, these practices create financial clarity that is reflected in mental clarity. A simplified budget, divided into a few essential categories, makes financial management less of a tedious chore and more of a practice of aligning with what truly matters. It's not about restriction, but about consciously directing resources to what brings genuine value. Our relationships also benefit from the approach of simplicity. Just as we can accumulate objects, we often maintain relationships out of habit or obligation, even when they are no longer nurturing or authentic. An honest inventory of your relationships can be as revealing as an inventory of your belongings. Which connections bring positive energy? Which leave you exhausted? Which are based on reciprocity and mutual growth? This clarity allows you to invest your emotional energy with the same intentionality with which you organize your physical space. The practice of simplicity invites us to question the social conventions that often keep us trapped in unsustainable patterns. The expectation to always have more, do more, be more, these silent pressures can pull us away from what truly brings meaning and contentment. There's a quiet courage in choosing sufficiency in a world that values excess, in saying, "This is enough," when the constant message is, "You need more." This stance isn't one of deprivation, but of conscious abundance. The recognition that beyond a certain point, more things, more activities, more stimuli not only don't add quality to life, but effectively diminish it. The practice of progress over perfection is fundamental to the simplification journey. It's not about creating the perfect environment all at once, but about making small, consistent improvements that over time completely transform our space and, by extension, our life experience. A gentle approach is to start with a single space, perhaps a drawer, a shelf, or even a surface like a desk. Completely simplifying this small area creates a tangible experience of the benefits of the practice, naturally motivating expansion to other areas. The most powerful thing in this journey is realizing that simplifying isn't something we do once and finish. It's an ongoing practice, a constant dialogue with our space and our possessions. As our lives evolve, our needs change, and our environment can adapt to reflect and support who we are becoming. True transformation happens when we begin to see simplicity not as an aesthetic, but as an ethic, a way of being in the world that values presence over accumulation, quality over quantity, meaning over status. At this point, we're not just organizing a space, we're cultivating a life aligned with deeper values. Perhaps the most liberating aspect of this practice is the recognition of impermanence. Everything changes. Our tastes, our needs, our spaces, and certainly ourselves. When we embrace this reality instead of resisting it, we find a profound freedom that no amount of possessions could provide. The beauty of the cherry blossom is intensified by its ephemeral nature. Similarly, there's a special beauty in temporary arrangements, in configurations that can be adapted, in spaces that evolve with the seasons and with our lives. This fluidity is the antithesis of the stagnant environment that many of us inadvertently create. In the end, simplicity isn't about having less for the sake of having less. It's about creating space, physical, mental, emotional, for what truly matters. It's about discovering that, often, what we desperately seek through accumulation is already present, just obscured by the layers of distraction we've created around us. True wealth isn't in the quantity of our possessions, but in the quality of our attention. When we simplify our external environment, we naturally cultivate that quality of attention that allows us to fully experience the present moment, with all its nuances, textures, and depths. Perhaps the most profound transformation is the shift in perspective, from seeing our spaces as collections of objects to seeing them as fields of experience. We don't just ask, "What do I need in this space?" but "What kind of experience do I want to cultivate here? What kind of life do I want to live within these walls?" The journey of transforming a chaotic environment into a space of clarity and peace isn't about following a rigid set of rules or achieving a specific aesthetic ideal. It's about discovering what resonates with you, what nurtures your spirit, what creates conditions for a more conscious and aligned life. Start where you are, with what you have, in small, consistent steps. Transformation doesn't happen overnight, but through daily choices that over time create a new reality. Every object released, every space clarified, every moment of conscious pause is an affirmation of the kind of life you choose to cultivate. True beauty isn't in perfection but in authenticity. A space that genuinely reflects who you are, that supports what you value, that creates conditions for the kind of life you want to live. This is the true goal of simplification. And perhaps the most surprising discovery is that when we finally create enough space, physical and mental, we discover that what we were seeking was already present. The peace, the clarity, the sense of sufficiency that we sought through accumulation were in fact waiting for us in the space, in the silence, in the simplicity. The transformation of your environment isn't just about aesthetics, but about creating a sanctuary where you can truly rest, be nurtured, and find your way back to yourself in a world that constantly pulls your attention outward. It's an act of self-care, of self-respect, and ultimately of self-knowledge. In this moment, I invite you to look around you again, but this time, see beyond what's there. See the potential of the space. See the possibility of clarity. See the invitation to a more conscious and present way of inhabiting not just your home, but your life. The journey begins with a single step, a single draw, a single conscious decision, and from there, it unfolds not in a straight line but in a spiral, returning to lessons already learned, but always at deeper levels of understanding and practice. May you find, in the simplicity of your space, the breadth for a life lived with presence, purpose, and peace. May each object in your home be a conscious reflection of your values, and may, in the empty spaces between them, you discover the freedom you've always sought. Japanese minimalism. Transform your home into a sanctuary of peace, less stuff, more happiness. Share this blessed video so it can touch and help other people like you and me. Don't forget to click the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being part of our faith community. If you would like to support our channel a little more, consider becoming a member of our channel. I leave here 2 more videos so that you can continue your search. Thank you, and God bless everyone. See you later. See you.